Fallout 76. That game in 2019. Oof. That's all I gotta say about that. Oof. If I sat here and went through everything that happened that year, this video would be a whole documentary. All I'll say is, bugs, glitches, exploits, hacks, patches that broke more things than they fixed. And while the game did make headway in certain areas, there were simply far too many issues for a game that's over a year old. And not to mention that they had the audacity to introduce that Fallout First subscription, which also launched broken, by the way, which charges $100 a year for features that people should have just gotten, everyone should have gotten without having to pay extra, given that the promise was cosmetics only, microtransactions and monetization, with the gameplay stuff being free additions. So this is easily one of the most infamous games of the last year or two, and 2020 is starting now, and we'll see how things pan out for this game. The Wastelanders expansion is on its way, and the hope is that it will address many of the game's issues and that it will add enough content and overhaul enough things that Fallout 76 will finally become something of a viable game. But until then, I'd like to talk about just all the other issues that continue plaguing this game even in 2020, and a lot of these issues have been in the game for a very long time. Just baffling problems that the game faces, stuff that shouldn't be a problem over a year after launch. So let's begin with this post by Reddit user Ruin Runner. The headline reads, "Dear developers, it's day 400 of shotguns dealing damage, then healing their target for half the amount of damage they took from the blast. Please play your game. This is not new. It is annoying. The weird part is shotguns work perfectly fine in nuclear winter." And then in an edit, it was highlighted that the issue might not be relegated to shotguns specifically. This reads, looks like the issue isn't just the shotguns, isn't restricted to any specific mob, and can be triggered by non-legendary weapons. So this is an issue that's been plaguing the game for a while now, over a year, pretty much throughout its entire lifespan. It has still gone unaddressed. And then we're seeing other users right here confirm that this is in fact an issue and sharing their own experiences. So this Reddit user said, "When I've had this occur with other weapons, it's been because I've been sneak attacking, the enemy was always in combat with another, and healed the damage that the sneak attack should have done, because for some reason, sneak attacks don't apply to enemies that are in combat. So perhaps it's something with this or a similar issue." And then this next Reddit user highlighted how this has been an issue since beta. "I am a sneaky non-auto rifleman. Enemies in combat with something else do indeed only take half the damage I deal to it. I can see it do full damage, but then the enemy heals half of it back. This has frustrated me for a long time. Now I just wait until they're done fighting after a couple pot shots just to get XP before engaging." So seemingly this issue has something to do with sneak attacking and other factors. This next Reddit post talks about how exploits and duping has resulted in the game's PvP mode to become woefully unbalanced. So the headline of this post reads, "Bethesda, please acknowledge that you do in fact know how broken Nuka-Cola Quantums are in PvP paired with Stealth Boy. PvP is currently dominated by exploiters using the hundreds of thousands of Nuka Quantums you didn't take from the dupers. Nuka Quantums are consumables that restore 200 HP and 100 AP, and then you compare that with Nuka Nut 2, and that allows for Nuka-Cola products to have 3 times the effect. So combine those two and you restore 600 HP and 300 AP for consuming a single Nuka Quantum, and exploiters seemingly have hundreds, thousands of these at a time when they engage in PvP, which practically makes them invincible." And then this reads, "Bethesda, you're completely ignoring a certain part of your player base, and you do not seem to care about exploiters running rampant. If you were to farm Quantums yourself, it would take you hours to search the entire world, and you would end up with, let's be generous and say, 40. But the players out there right now, the ones who are clearly hacking and exploiting, they have, again, hundreds or thousands of these Nuka Quantums, throwing the entire game off balance. This has been a known issue, and Bethesda did respond by saying, "This is a really well thought out post. Thank you for taking the time to write this all out and providing videos as examples to your points. I'll raise this with the team if they are not already aware of this." So at least there's a response from Bethesda, but given their history of taking a while to fix prominent issues that have been plaguing the game, I don't know if one can be confident that this issue will be fixed quickly and expediently. And then below, people talk about how PvP has always been kind of broken because of exploiters who Bethesda's had a tough time keeping up with. This user says, "Don't care about PvP, but maybe I would if it weren't trash." And then this other user said, "Great points, but honestly, I thought it was generally understood that all hope for balanced PvP free of exploits has disappeared a long time ago. What you present here sounds like what has been a pattern since the beginning. You are constantly attacked in PvP all the time by people with OP meta gear and aid that is impossible to obtain if you play the game honestly. I can't remember a time when PvP was not like that in this game." That's the sad reality of Fallout 76. There are so many elements of it that people just don't engage with because hackers are running rampant, because Bethesda built Fallout 76 on an engine that was designed to be single player and highly moddable by users. And the result is that Fallout 76 has sort of inherited a lot of the features that have become flaws in this multiplayer-heavy game. Next up, here is a recent post in which a Reddit user talked about how VATS is seemingly broken or inconsistent in its current state. The headline reads, "Is it just me or is VATS wildly inconsistent? All day today I was missing 10 to 15 shots in a row with my fixer while being told I have a 95% chance to hit. I used focused fire to target the head, so I'm not sure if that affects it, but 95% shouldn't be missing much at all, let alone missing 15 shots in a row." Honestly, with the time that I've had with Fallout 76, I've always found VATS to be inconsistent, but Bethesda did respond with, "We have been tracking and investigating VATS hits, definitely aware." And then other users noted that they've been seeing similar issues. So this user said, "I'm a VATS specialist, and when this happens, there's usually one of two issues. One, there's an invisible mesh in the way. Exit VATS and scoot over, away from railing, trees, etc. Try VATS again. Two, there's a sync glitch. Exit VATS and immediately try applying again in the same target. This is the most common issue of misses, and exiting and re-entering VATS is the easiest solution." Also, there's been a lot of invincible state enemies spawning lately, usually on servers that have been active for a long time, with memory leakage going on for hours. I've wasted a good amount of ammo on these recently, and when you see them pop up in a zone, chances are there's going to be more than one. Only thing to do is wrap up what you're doing, fast travel out, and try somewhere else. So there's multiple layers to this issue. VATS was obviously not properly implemented, and if you scroll down, you'll see that there's plenty of other people who are experiencing inconsistent VATS, and there are a number of people here saying that this has been a problem since day one. So this Reddit user said this was a day one problem in beta and hasn't been fixed in more than a year. Bottom line is that this is a significant problem of a core mechanic of the game that Bethesda still hasn't fixed to an extent that will allow it to work consistently. Moving on, we have a Reddit user talking about how Fallout 76 is extremely inefficient at tracking progress in case of game crashes and such. So this Reddit post reads, "Sometimes you just want to throw the controller across the room, PS4, bought 2 large wrapping papers, made the GIFs, got the mounted Mega Sloth, yeah, read the plan, immediate crash, blue screen, log back on, GIFs are gone, plan is gone, not in notes, not listed as known, not unread, nowhere, just poofed to bit heaven." And then here's another player who's had something similar happen to them. This user said, "I know your pain. It happened to me when I was about to enter the code on the keypad for launching a nuke. My game crashes, and since it was on my quest, the entire bunker restarted. Pure pain." And here's one more for good measure. "Same thing happened to me with 20 handmade large GIFs. I was admiring the haul that included the Mothman plan and 2 Mega Sloth plans when server crashed. Log in and plans were gone. Fortunately, the 20 GIFs were there ready to be opened again, but all I ended up with was common plans. So disappointed." Fallout 76 is notorious for its crashes, its unstable nature, so any progress that is made should be recorded on the spot. but that's not what happens, unlike many other online games. Instead, these kinds of crashes often result in players losing a significant chunk of progress and losing out on a lot of rare items they might have obtained before the crash happened, and it's incredibly frustrating. Next up, here we have a Reddit user who reported issues regarding Fallout 76's interface that causes people sometimes to sell the wrong item. So the headline here reads, Bethesda, you know your glitchy interface sometimes sells the wrong item to a vendor. Give us a grace period to buy things back for the same damn price. When to sell Gulper Slurry, mouse slipped, sold serums even though the confirmation dialogue said Gulper Slurry, fuck my life. So when you are trying to sell something and the confirmation menu pops up saying, hey, are you sure you want to sell all of these items, this specific item? The problem with this game is that when that prompt pops up, it doesn't lock your ability to select items. So if you happen to accidentally move your mouse and select something else while the prompt is up, even though the prompt says, hey, do you want to sell this item? In the end, when you hit OK, what they're actually going to sell is whatever item you've scrolled over with the mouse. Further contributing to this issue is a report by this Reddit user in which scrolling through vendors and stashes is seemingly incredibly laggy, and that occasionally causes the selection of the wrong item when you're selling to a vendor. Now, Bethesda community manager did respond to this particular post, stating, I've seen others suggest a buyback option before. This sounds similar. I'll raise this as well. So the ability to buy things back if you accidentally sell the wrong thing should help mitigate this issue, but also Bethesda should fix the fundamental issue with the game's interface and its glitchy/laggy nature. The next couple of Reddit posts talk about balancing issues with the game, with this Reddit user highlighting how explosive heavy weapons like missile launchers, broadsiders, and Fat Man are incredibly weak and downright useless in this game. They have no utility whatsoever. Specifically highlighting this issue is this excerpt that reads, the weapons, Fat Man, missile launcher, grenade launcher, are ridiculously heavy, and their ammo is also incredibly heavy. They lack any substantial mods, and if you're not running rank 3 of fireproof with a dense armor, you are really likely to kill yourself before killing a big enemy. To top it off, they break in less than a couple shots. I don't know, Bethesda, it might just be me, but I feel like these weapons could really use some love. The Fat Man, Fallout's version of the BFG, is pretty much unusable. Now, these kinds of explosive heavy weapons having drawbacks like ammo being really heavy, the weapon itself being really heavy, breaking down easily, would be fine if they dealt a significant amount of damage, if those drawbacks were made up with just sheer raw power. But the problem is that these weapons just don't deal the kind of damage that makes up for said drawbacks. So that's an entire class of weapons that are practically useless that people downright ignore because you're just better off using more traditional weapons. Another balancing issue has to do with camp defenses, which many players are finding also to be completely useless. So this user reported the following: missile turrets eat up a ton of budget and take some perk investment. If I have them on my roof pointing in all 4 directions, nothing should be able to get near my camp without getting pulverized. I watched a level 30 Grafton monster from 100 feet away make his way to my camp while 3 missile turrets were pounding on him. They got him down to maybe 50% health, and he walked straight up to my wall where the power connectors were mounted and wrecked them, which shut the turrets off. 3 missile turrets pounded him with very little effect, and I had to kill him with a gating gun, or is that Gatling gun? And once again, like with many other Fallout 76 issues, this is a problem that's been there since the game's launch. So the main issue here is that Fallout 76 is a game that emphasizes camps, and building defenses should be something that's fun and it should feel fulfilling. But even though camp defenses end up taking up a big chunk of your camp budget, with budget being the limiting factor when it comes to how many structures you can place in your camp, how much you can build in it, they just lack in any kind of firepower that make them efficient or useful in any way, that make them worth the investment that go into them. And then there are some who've stumbled upon the issue of enemies spawning directly inside their base when they're fast traveling and whatnot, or when they log in, and that just makes the defenses completely useless. From there, we have this Reddit user who found frustration with Fallout 76 not allowing players to level up their weapons because they'll occasionally find these legendaries with the effects that they want, but they'll be low level. So this user reported, quote, "Many times I've found a fantastic legendary weapon with amazing effects grouped together, only to be put off by the fact that it's only level 25 and I'm level 145. Allow weapons to be leveled up." There are other online games that do this, but with Fallout 76, it's just not something that's been implemented yet, and it's frustrating players. Another addition to the game that a lot of people seem to want is, quote, "Every region in the map needs its own world boss event that should become tougher when nuked. World bosses would make this game much more lively and add to the endgame. Turn it into events like the SBQ and the Sheep Squatch imposter events, but instead of the community having to nuke it or swipe a keycard to activate it, put on a timer like the other events, and when someone does nuke that event, the boss gets tougher, more aggressive, or bigger." And essentially, people are finding that there's just not a lot to do in Fallout 76 right now, especially because the Wastelanders expansion was delayed. In the meantime, people would like to see this kind of implementation of world bosses, and this user expressed, "Yeah, we just need more stuff to do." And apparently this has also been requested a lot since launch, but Bethesda has been unable to keep up with these kinds of requests. And then finally, when it comes to monetization, there are people complaining about how the Atomic Shop, when they introduce limited time items, there's usually a pretty short window, not enough time for people to be able to earn enough atoms in-game to be able to buy them. This user said, "I wish the Atom Shop wasn't based on impulse buying. Only 6 days left. Oh great, let me scrap together my 200 atoms from daily challenges to buy a 700 atom outfit. It'd be really cool if maybe the first week a new item was out, it was 25% off, then went to regular price after that. A girl likes the plan and budget." Bethesda knows that this is an issue, but by placing a timer on these items and pricing things in such a way that you probably won't be able to attain the necessary currency via gameplay, they encourage players to purchase atoms with real money. What people want instead is something like Warframe Storefront, where all the items are always there. Way more customer friendly. And then this next Reddit user aptly pointed out, "Customer friendly, there's your problem. It's not being convenient. It's made to give you a feeling of missing out, so you spend actual money if you're short on atoms. It's a super common and easy move that always works." That is 100% correct. So yeah, these are generally some of the issues that are still plaguing Fallout 76 in 2020. A lot of these not new, and a lot of people are hoping that Bethesda will step it up with the Wastelanders DLC, which will release soon-ish. It's undergoing playtesting right now, so that might help mitigate potential issues and, a potential broken launch, which has been a common trend for Fallout 76 patches and updates. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, but only time will tell. A lot is riding on Fallout 76's Wastelanders DLC. It could very well be make or break for this troubled project. We'll see if Bethesda can actually manage to introduce an update that is more positive than negative, if they manage to ship this in a state that doesn't break a bunch of things or reintroduce a bunch of old bugs. For now, though, all I can say is that Fallout 76 continues to be plagued with baffling issues that simply should not exist in a AAA game that's been out this long, over a year. But until the Wastelanders DLC releases, I'd love to hear what your thoughts and opinions are on the current state of Fallout 76, your expectations of Wastelanders. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.